Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about Graham Hancock's birth chart. I was looking up Atlantis, doing my own personal research. I was looking at videos on YouTube and like all these theories, and one of the theories showed Graham Hancock's opinion on Atlantis, and I'll link it down below because I was like, what the heck, that's crazy. So, and then they gave a brief summary of who he is and his beliefs, and I was like, OMG, this is what I wanted. This is all human history gossip and tea, just like hidden secrets, and I was so into it. It was so much juicy knowledge, and I'm sure you're watching this video because you do know who Graham Hancock is. He's done his research. Props to him for really digging in deep and doing that publicly for years. And I watched basically a whole timeline of videos from like 2014, 2015, and compared to 2019, and it's just like the proof that is in the pudding as time went on. It was just crazy because it was just like, wow, he believes in himself and the universe allowed information to come through. Like, this is information that humanity should know. It's not something that should be hidden from us. I've been going through my spiritual journey and getting in deeper into science and spirituality and numerology, and then hearing that there's a historical background in this, I was like, oh, this is, I mean, I loved world history in school, and you know, there's only so much they can tell you in school, and like hearing like ancient civilizations and like the research behind this stuff, things that you don't learn in school. Yeah, I was like, sign me up. I watched all the interviews. Then I was like, Graham Hancock, like, what is your sign? I have this weird thing where it's like, whenever I find someone who's iconic, I'm like, what is your sun sign? Like, what's your chart period? And so that's what I did. So if you like the idea of birth charts, I'm gonna continue doing this series on my channel, so subscribe definitely. Okay, so he has a sun in Leo, and Leos are ruled by the sun. So this is, you know, a good placement for a sun sign. So very warm and like outwardly energy for sure. A lot of light, and all that light is expressed outward. So that's symbolic and metaphorical. However, you know, like even a sense of enlightenment or anything that's entertaining or interesting to a Leo, they're gonna send it outward and share it. Even if they don't even intend to, it's just like all the great manifestations and all the insight that they know, it somehow is expressed outward. So as enlightened and more aware and more conscious a Leo is, the more rays they give off, the more powerful they are as a sun, if that makes sense. And Graham definitely has that effect on people who watch his interviews. I'm definitely gonna link some of his interviews in the description below. It's like very bright, very warm, very energetic, very, I think they're funny as well. What I also found funny about this placement in his chart is that he is kind of obsessed with the pyramids in Giza and the Sphinx, and the Sphinx is a lion. So, and that's, I mean, Leos are ruled by lions, like that's their symbol. I don't know, I just thought that was so interesting. And also, if you watch in his interviews, he mentions how he has his research that proves that the Sphinx was made in the age of Leo, which was, I think 12,000 years ago, I believe is what he said. And how it's also facing, or at the time, it was facing the Leo constellation. But yeah, I just thought that was so interesting because it's just like, wow, this is a lot of Leo alignment. And I say this, but I'm also a Leo as well. My life path number is 3, and I just think that I have a connection with the Giza as well, because there's 3 pyramids and there's a sphinx right next to it, and it's just like, I'm a 3 Leo. Anyways, and I just gravitate towards other Leos and their ideas and their beliefs because it helps me in a way. I feel that way with 3s as well. But yeah, I was just like, wow, I see an alignment for sure. That is funny. I'm not sure if he knows that, but I noticed that. And then his moon is in Aries. So your moon deals with your emotions, like your intuition, almost like who you are at the root of it all. That makes sense. So that identity is in Aries. So to explain Aries, they're the first in the zodiac sign. They're like very, very youthful energy. Very like on the go. I would describe them almost as like the toddler, and that is such a good thing because a powerful, impulsive energy, I feel like, is like very fiery and like very connected with spirit. Like you're just like, oh, I just thought to do this, and my soul just jumps into it. Yes, so that they have that sense of approach to life. And when you notice that with Graham is that he really got into these ideas and mindset knowing that he would be criticized, but he was just like, I just wanted to share this. He's like, I just wanted to let y'all know because I thought this was so everything. And I think Aries are pretty underground because they really do things before people do things. Like people as in everyone will be on the same basis. Like Aries are definitely like, they're pretty much ahead of their time sometimes because they're so like, woo, like they already are on Mars. And it's funny because they're ruled by Mars as well. So it's just like, he's gonna fight for what he believes in, and he doesn't really care. And the thing is, that Aries placement, Aries don't like wait like, oh my gosh, like is someone gonna join me and believe in me? And no, Aries are gonna be like, I don't care, I'm gonna do this by myself. I'm a self-sufficient dad. And yeah, you notice that in his chart, he really just goes for it. He doesn't care what anyone else thinks. He's doing it because he knows this is his truth, and he's gonna go with that. So yeah, I thought that was also very interesting. I just think his whole chart is interesting, if I must say. I think I might say that a lot in this video. Then he has a Mercury in Virgo. Oh my goodness. So your Mercury is all about communication, how you talk, how you project your knowledge, you know, sharing information. And his is in Virgo. When you watch his interviews, the way he talks, he's very methodical. He has done his research, very analytical. He's always like, something about Virgos is that they have their receipts. They know all the details because they remember it because of that. And when you notice, like he says all this information. He does not use one sheet of paper to recall. He does not use notes. And it's just like, okay, yeah. I mean, you do a little bit more research just because it's safer that way to do your own research. And yeah, lo and behold, he's right. And yeah, so I thought that was so noticeable in his chart for sure. Like he really pulls the receipts on everybody, and he's like, actually, this isn't that. And it's just so interesting because although he has a Leo sun and an Aries moon, where he's first off in flight, he's not gonna say anything if he hasn't done his research because he'd rather have things be more practical. That's where the practicality comes in with all that fire. The earth kind of stabilizes it. Which is kind of funny as well because if you think about a comet, it's a rock with fire. And that's just his energy outwardly to people. And he also has a rising in Capricorn, so he's very like practical. He's very business oriented. That's his vibe that he gives off. Very influential through wealth. That's the vibe he gives off. Just like a wealthy, stable person. That's his energy. And so like that Capricorn rising, that Earth rising, that Earth and Mercury communication, and that fire, sun, and moon, you know, those are some ideas of what a comet is, or an asteroid. Hilaire, he's like, him in like this interview that he has with Randall Carson, he talks about asteroids. He is an asteroid. Like his chart is an asteroid. So yeah, and he's just giving information to the earth. Like this is Earth just being like, yeah, we're just like listening to what society is telling us. LOL. Not even LOL, just. And then you have Graham Hancock with all this information and who he is as a person, just being like, this is the truth. And the Earth's like, well, like, calm down. Okay, yes, you're right. Like, he comes at you with information. You just see his energy in a video. It's different when you can hear him, I think, compared to when you actually see a video of him actually talking and his facial expressions and like his his attitude. Sometimes you're just like, OMG, like, yeah, he definitely just like throws knowledge like that, like an asteroid for sure. Then he has a Mars in Libra. So I thought this was interesting because Mars is ruled by Aries. Aries' sister sign is Libra. And so he has this sister sign aspect. And I thought that was so interesting. Hello. Okay, so with his Mars and Libra, I actually have some notes on this. So Libras are the scales, things that tend to balance them. So your Mars is your passions, your fire and desire, like your craving for this world, things that, you know, might set you off, or I don't know, like that sensitive aspect. And that is ruled by Libra, which is all about peace and love, and just ruled by Venus. And yeah, and also if you hear about that in the Sumerian epics, you'll notice that energy. Okay, so when Graham Hancock, or when Mars and Libra people are very positive, or when people see them as a positive person, they're very well liked, they're very social, people love them and would love to talk to them, have a talk with them. That's how I personally view him. And there's some people who just like cannot stand him at all. And yeah, it's just crazy because when there's a negative aspect, they can find him unpleasant, very defensive, and just very like, can you shut up already? And yeah, it's just so interesting how he has that reputation. And when you see his interviews, he's not really attacking anyone. He's always just saying like, can y'all just be open-minded? Like, that's my only problem with you guys, just be open-minded. And I'm like, no, we're not gonna be open-minded. In fact, we're gonna fight. And he's just like, and Libras are also intellectual, so not only do they want peace, but that's what makes them peaceful, is that they're intellectual, if that makes sense. Like they kind of think it through. With this Mars placement, it's very intense Libra energy, very at its I think it's at its best component within Mars, because it's like overturning this anger with peace. And that's my opinion. I think that's a good correlation. And then yeah, with his Mars and Libra, like whenever something is unfair, whenever something is unjust, they are air signs, so it's all about communication. They are going to use their intellect and communication to share this. Like, this is not okay. So best believe Mars and Libra is going to speak their mind when something's wrong. Like when something is unfair, when something's unbalanced, and with this and Graham, you could totally see that, like, he's showing people this hidden, secretive information, and also, like, information on ancient civilizations and, like, in Egypt, in South America, Göbekli Tepe. Like, all of these places that he's giving us tea and his own personal research on. It's just, he really sees that as unfair, and he actually wants to share that with it. So yeah, with that Venus and his Mars, it becomes personal, intuitive, and sensational for him to speak up on things that aren't fair, because that actually, he feels that for sure. Like, he feels that emotionally in his soul for it to speak up on things, because that Mars and that Venus, he gets that Cancer is like, he gets sensitive and emotional, and that Libra, about things that are unfair. So you could totally see that Mars and Venus are sister signs. So yeah, the way that they connect with each other is through that. Then he has a Saturn in Virgo. So this makes him very diligent and hardworking. He works best with the routine. And he would prefer to have things clean and organized, just like everything together. Okay, and then he has a Jupiter in Pisces. Now, in the past, I said that I have a Leo Sun in Cancer Venus, just like Graham, and also Jupiter in Pisces, just like Graham. So Jupiter is all about expansion, luck, fortune, good vibes in your career, like what will help you get best at your career. And him having this in Pisces is like, so Jupiter in Pisces, a description on that is like, a thriving environment is a spiritual and positive and fair environment. Like, helping others, feeling enlightened, and him being enlightened. Like, being in an environment where spirituality is the main viewpoint, where that is the only thing that matters. Like, that's the main basics of it all. Love, nature, like, dreamy vibes, you know? So just really with the soul, very within emotion. And him talking about ayahuasca is just definitely that viewpoint. And yeah, just spirituality base is where he's gonna find his best efforts in his career if he continues that. I'm sure he will. Yeah. And a place of sense of love, like peace and freedom, you know? Then he has a Pluto in Leo. So your Pluto is like your very intense energy, like it's ruled by Scorpio, so it's just more like, what are his deep truths, like what is his, like, almost like subconscious kind of vibes, you know? So something that he should do is focus on himself for hidden truths and find positive energy to endure in. So that placement in Leo is just more about like going inwards and believing in what you believe in no matter what. And then he has a Uranus and Cancer. So basically, sorry, the wind went crazy. Okay. Okay, so he has a Uranus in Cancer. Uranus is all about innovation, technology, and like a rebellious sense, you know. Aquarius is ruled by this planet, so that kind of identity rocks its world. And so he has a Cancer in this placement, which is like a generational thing. And you could totally see this generation in the 70s. Like, it's all about peace and love and like, let's get together, let's come together, like, you know, just that kind of energy. The the people who were like 20 years old in the 70s who really influenced a lot of the peace and love hippie energy is actually, that was a Cancer generation with Uranus. So I thought that was very interesting to see. Then his midheaven is in Scorpio. So this is all about your career and status, like how you are basically perceived almost, and like a Scorpio energy. So it's very like mysterious, like, oh, it's that guy. Yeah, and that makes sense because the way that people see him in his career, he's like the dark truth, like the real truth, and that's literally some Scorpio energy, like very deep. And I would say Scorpios are like the ugly truth, but it's very beautiful. Here, and that's his energy in his career. Yeah. But that was his chart, and he's born August 2nd in 1950, and I think it's so interesting that he's born halfway in a whole century. He was also born in Edinburgh, United Kingdom, so yeah. But yeah, that is my whole video on Graham Hancock's birth chart. Very good stuff, very good stuff. He really is. He's a Sphinx and he's an asteroid. Yeah, that's how I see him in his chart. And yeah, he has earth, he has air, he has water, he has fire, he has all of the elements in his chart. So it seems like he's pretty balanced. But yeah, like I said before, please subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up if you actually like this birth chart reading, and leave a comment down below if you feel like there's anything that should have been added or what you would like to see more of. But yeah, y'all have a great day. Peace, love, and light. Also, check out my other videos on crystals. I have a video on aventurine and amethyst and rose quartz. So yeah, I'll be getting more into making more crystal videos if you want to see that. And yeah.